one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. It's gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2 3. 1 2 3.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps cause they know what happens next. So without further ado,
Free smoke.
look. Scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much I have you doing what it meant to me, but motherfuck all that. I don't even offer up the time to make the call back. Stupid Lodo, if they don't get the picture now, man, I crop them out of the photo. I can't relate to my peers. Been doing this shit for years. I'm motivated by fears. I took the wheel and I steer. My sound not dictated by fuck boys in Atlanta. Stay gifted like this album was ghost written by Santa Bars forever, like they decided to throw me under Slammer. Every song's a hit like they picture me underhanders. I could drop 1,000,000 songs, but they never gon' understand us. Soapbox sermons for niggas never giving chances. Fight our whole lives to get these weak ass advances. Work twice as hard for the shit that they getting handed. And this ain't even nothing we chose, nigga, we branded. Still can't tell why all of these niggas mad at me. I'm trying to get 100 so I can put my team on salary. Give it all to the art, man, I turn my life to a gallery. Man, damn, what a fucked up masterpiece. 1,100 shots and I swear, man, I felt them all. If we ain't even good on our blocks, man, who can we call? Pre-decline state of mind, we broke crabs in the barrel. Got us fighting our folk, man, this shit just a life of peril.
Winning has a price. And leadership has a price.
When did winning not become the main thing? I always say keep the main thing, where, you know, winning is the only thing that truly matters.
You find yourself alone, riding in green fields with the sun on your face. Do not be troubled. Brothers, what we do in life echoes in eternity.
Week 17 in the NFL. Boy, it's almost over. We got one more week of the regular season, man. And then it's over. I do appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. And I appreciate y'all for joining me all season long. I truly do. It ain't over yet, but I appreciate you. I truly do. Matchup of the week. I hope you guys had a phenomenal day, phenomenal week. Let's get into it real quick. We're going to go through these games, but first I want to go ahead and talk about this matchup of the week. The Miami Dolphins head to Baltimore to take on the Baltimore Ravens. Now, before we get into the game, I know it's a lot of people out there who say, Tua could win MVP in this game and whatnot. And I guess it is a route to him winning MVP in this game with how ridiculous MVP is looked. To me, I don't think he can win MVP because, in my opinion, the schedule that he done play, that he has not beaten the Super Bowl caliber teams he had to play against. I don't look at Dak the way I look at Patrick Mahomes. He lost to Pat. I don't look at Dak the way I look at Josh Allen. He got waxed by Josh Allen. And he played Josh Allen again, and I'm taking Josh Allen in that game like I take him every time they play the Dolphins. So, listen, I love Tua. I've been riding the Tua bandwagon for a long time on this channel. Well, since the incarnation of the channel, because I don't always supported Tua. I was pissed off when they had him playing behind Ryan Fitzpatrick, but that's neither here nor there. But I don't think it's a route for Tua to win MVP. If Lamar struggled, I don't think that should be an excuse to not give him MVP because he haven't struggled for the majority of the season. This thing with the stats, bro. See, you'll look at his stats and say, oh, Lamar been struggling. If you watch the games, you'll realize Lamar haven't been struggling. For one, the biggest problem Lamar had throughout the season was his fumbling problem. He quickly done fixed that. He haven't had that problem in weeks. You take Lamar off this team, they do not win all these big games they don't win. I do not think this is if Tua win this game, he could win. No, to me, if you really been watching this season, I cannot say take Tua off of the Dolphins, they would be a bad team. To me, when you look at that offense, like I said about the 49ers, the first thing you say if you're a defense is not how do we stop Tua. It's how do you stop Tyreek Hill. And after that, I still don't know if you get to Tua, because I don't think it's Tua as much as it is Mike McDaniel's offense, which I've been watching a lot of the Dolphins the last couple days. It's really the 49ers offense with a bit more speed because Tyreek, well, actually a lot more speed because Tyreek and them boys is fast as shit. Mostert, I can't even remember how you pronounce the other dude's name to start with an A. His last name start with A. But Jalen Waddle, who I don't even think will be playing in this game. It's a good offense. It's a great offense. However, I understand Mike McDaniels don't like it when people say his team not as physical, and I understand how great the defense for the Dolphins have been since Jalen Ramsey got back. But look at who the Dolphins have played. Listen, I do believe the Dolphins are a great team. They have not beaten the teams that they should have beaten. The 49ers, they lost to a Bills team that was struggling. They didn't look like they were struggling against the Dolphins. And then they lost to a Chiefs team that was coming off of struggling. Didn't look like they were struggling when they played against the Dolphins. So my problem is, as much as I like the Dolphins, as good as I think the Dolphins are, in my opinion, they are the AFC version of the 49ers. I think they're a great team, but when they run into a team with a great quarterback, I have no faith in them. None whatsoever. Because every single time they done had an opportunity, and it's not me being unfair if you're a Miami fan. I said the same thing about Purdy. I said the same thing about Dak. When they play against great quarterbacks, specifically Dak, because you got a longer list of a track record. When he play against the great quarterbacks, when Kyle Shanahan led offenses play against the great quarterbacks, they lose. That's not hyperbole. That's not me making that up. That's not me being biased. That is a factual statement. The teams that have derailed Kyle Shanahan every year are the teams with a great quarterback. The teams that Dallas cannot seem to beat is the teams with great quarterbacks. The teams that Miami cannot seem to beat this year is teams with great. And I understand some people say, well, Miami did this to Baltimore in the past. For one, for everybody who keep raving about how great Tua played last year, Lamar had just as great a game, and they didn't lose because of something Lamar didn't do. They lost because of how bad the defense was for the Ravens. And I saw Emmanuel Acho get on TV and lie. And when James Jones said, who did he throw all those stats against? And he said the Ravens defense. He said the same defense. He said everybody on the team was there except for except for Roquan. For one, do you understand how important that statement in itself is? Everybody was there except for Roquan Smith, the either first or second best middle linebacker in football. Kyle Hamilton, from last year to this year, is a completely different player. You have Marlon Humphreys, Brandon Stevens from last year to this year, completely different player. Geno Stone from last year to this year, completely different player. I don't even know if Marcus Williams was healthy in that Dolphins game. Jadeveon Clowney was not on the team last year. Justin Metabike was not this good. I don't know if he was healthy last year during that game. He definitely wasn't this good last year. So it's real easy to look at stats and look at names and stuff like that, but not take a deeper dive into who actually was on the field for the Ravens last year, how good certain players were for the Ravens last year when Tua did what he did. But because I watched the games, I can provide the context that the media seem to never want to provide to you when they're trying to hate or make their own points. Now, Emmanuel Acho done been one of the biggest. See, that's what I also want our viewers to know. People think that I don't like Shannon Sharpe. No, I don't like Emmanuel Acho. He is a far worse analyst than Shannon Sharp. The hate that people have for Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith should really be going to analysts like Nick Wright, Emmanuel Acho. Those are god-awful Jason McIntyre. Those are god-awful sports analysts, bro. God-awful sports analysts. But the way I see Tua in this offense, now, the thing that's interesting to me about Miami, they do a lot of that, what do you call it? They do a lot of the motion shit. Now, y'all know how I feel about the motion. I told y'all last week when I was talking about the 49ers game. The motion is not something that I felt would destroy the Ravens the way it destroyed certain teams that the 49ers had played against before. Like, I watched them play the Rams, and the motion was just fucking us up left and right. Dudes was getting wide open off of that shit. The Ravens just seem to have a more sophisticated group of players. Now, this is where I start to go on a dialogue about Roquan Smith. You see, for those people who've been watching me for a while, you understand how I done felt about the middle linebacker position. That is as important a position on the defensive side of the ball as the quarterback position is on the offensive side of the ball. Because when you have a middle linebacker like a Luke Kuechly, Ray Lewis, Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, C.J. Mosley, Brian Urlacher, just think of all the phenomenal all-pro Matt motherfucking Milano. Think of all the phenomenal middle linebackers in the history of football. And think of what they provide for a defense. They get guys straight in the front, the middle, and in the secondary. They can go sideline to sideline. They can defend the tight ends. They can defend the slot receivers. They can blitz. They can play in coverage. They understand where everybody needs to be. They understand what the offense is doing. To have a middle linebacker like a Roquan Smith, like a Fred Warner, it just changes everything. That's why I said the Ravens would immediately try to trade for Roquan when he became available, because it just made too much sense. If it was a team in the league that would spend on Roquan Smith, that would give him the contract he was looking for, it was going to be the Ravens, because he was just too close to a Ray Lewis. And I'm not telling you that he is Ray Lewis, but when you watched his tape, and I watched a lot of his tape while he was in Chicago. I watched him when he was at Georgia too, so. But when you watched Roquan Smith, since he had been in, and before he became a Raven, I told you he was one of the top 5 middle linebackers in football. People just didn't talk about him because he played for the sorry-ass Chicago Bears. But I told you, it was embarrassing for Chicago to not, at that time I said it was stupid for Chicago to be not giving this man, because who are you paying if you're not going to pay Roquan? You have a rookie contract on this quarterback. Why would you not be paying Roquan? Not to mention, this ain't the quarterback of the future. That even tells you more you're going to draft a quarterback and pay Roquan. And when they chose not to do that, I said that's insane to me, because Roquan Smith was so very clearly a top-tier middle linebacker. The only thing that was missing was a winning organization. Every other piece of greatness that could be expelled out of Roquan, it wasn't going to happen in a losing environment. It was only going to happen once he got to a winning organization, which is why I knew the Baltimore Ravens was going to go all out to go get him. It was no price that they was going to think was too high, aside from giving up a high first-round draft pick, which they was never going to have. Roquan Smith is worth a top-tier draft pick. I knew the Ravens would be willing to give up a first-rounder or a second-rounder for Roquan. I was going to say something. I knew the Bears wasn't even probably going to ask for a first-round pick, but I knew the Ravens was going to see. The Ravens ain't trading draft picks. I knew it was no real limit they wouldn't go to get Roquan, especially if they knew they could get him re-signed, because that's a generational talent. And the only reason I understand everybody don't watch football. So if you don't watch the Chicago Bears, you wouldn't have understood. If you don't watch your favorite team and Chicago not your favorite team, I understand you might be thinking like, you don't know how great Roquan could have been, or you couldn't have seen his greatness. You could have if you watched him, because the Chicago defense wasn't always bad, even though the offense wasn't always good. When he got to Baltimore, a winning organization, a franchise quarterback, a Super Bowl winning head coach, I knew he would start to officially be a top linebacker in the game in everybody's eyes, because he was going to be playing in big spots on big moments on the TV. And to have a middle linebacker like that, that can control the middle of the field. See, that's what's important. You got a lot of middle linebackers who cannot control the middle of the field by themselves. They need help. Not only do they need help, they need the second linebacker probably is better in coverage than they actually are. I don't like starting middle linebackers who always want to blitz more than they want to play in coverage. Because if that's the case, we need to kick your ass outside. And if the reason we can't kick you outside is because you're not as great a blitzer as our two outside guys, then that means we need to have a special secondary. I'm not a fan of having a middle linebacker who cannot, if he can't control the middle of the field by himself for the majority of the game or for multiple plays throughout the game without needing that second middle line. Because the beauty in Baltimore is Roquan Smith is so, look at some of the plays against the 49ers. One of the reasons I knew the motion wasn't going to kill the Ravens is because they could just, the speed of Patrick Queen and the ability to use Kyle Hamilton in so many different ways and because of Roquan Smith's ability to defend the middle of the field, I knew, and the tackling ability is unreal. It's rare that you get too many run after the catch with Roquan because he almost every time, 99% of the time, Roquan going to make the tackle. When you can do that, you can send Patrick Queen on blitzes unblocked. You can send Patrick Queen to defend the middle of the field at times with help of people faltering into him because Roquan going to play the run. Like the things you can do with other players because of how great Roquan Smith is, it just changes things. And what makes it even worse now for opposing offenses is Kyle Hamilton is becoming the best safety in the league. And it's not even just becoming the best safety, because you can have a safety that's the best but don't truly affect the game unless certain things happen. He is becoming the best safety who can just enforce his will on a game. He is leaving an impact on almost every game. That's better than even being the best safety, because the safety is a position that can get fluttered out throughout a game where you barely see him. But think about the safeties that used to leave an impact on the game throughout the entirety of the game. Eric Berry, Tyrann Mathieu, the guys who can do both. They can play in coverage, they can play in the box. So you can never take them out of a game. Because you now have two generational talents on the defensive side of the ball in a Kyle Hamilton and a Roquan Smith, it gives the Ravens defense more leeway to take chances and do. Why do you think, and I told you, because they don't have one special game-changing defensive lineman, all of those guys work in unison. It's hard to motion either way when you have two generational talents, the speed of a Patrick Queen, the talent of that defensive line being able to funnel out either way. So you don't know if you ran the motion to the proper side because it's not one guy you running away from. You don't know who gonna make the great play on that defensive line because they not relying on one guy. They relying on each other. They playing as an actual unit, not relying on just a Myles Garrett or just a TJ Watt or something like that. And then you got the cornerback play and the safety play that's above, that's spectacular, to be honest with you. So that's why it's so tough to play the Ravens defense. That's why this Ravens defense is not what Tua played last year, which was very evident when you watch them play against the 49ers. Look at how many plays the 49ers had where they tried to motion a certain way, but because of the talent of a Roquan and a Patrick Queen, of a Roquan, the speed of Queen, and the talent of a Roquan and a Kyle Hamilton, it just fucked the whole play up. I keep seeing people make these videos of those interceptions. Brock only was threw only one pick-worthy play. No, that's not how that worked. He didn't have to make any of those throws he made. Every single one of those picks was on Brock Purdy. Like, I don't understand what we be. That goalpost, man. That goalpost. I saw that little that interviewer that said that basically said she liked Lamar. Yeah, I got to see it on Twitter. I guess she was saying she wanted, if Lamar Jackson played quarterback like a white boy, she like him more. That's when she like him, when he played quarterback like a white. This shit was crazy. They just be saying the craziest shit on Twitter, bro. Or these analysts get on TV and say the craziest shit. But I'm not telling you that Tua and them boys can't go out there and win this game. Tua can't win MVP in this game, I don't believe, because I don't believe he is the MVP or more valuable than what Lamar Jackson has been for his team this year. But that's also why I don't think Tua and them boys gonna win this game, because as much as I like Tua in this offense I don't think this is the same defense you're playing. This is a more mature Baltimore Ravens defense. Not to mention Mike McDaniels might be influenced and enthused with the Patrick Queen quote. I'm pretty sure this Ravens defense is more enthused about the lead they blew last year against this team. I think that hold more water for us than it do for them, but I could be wrong. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't predict blowouts and things like that, but I told y'all last week before that game, if a blowout happened in this game, and I said, I got a funny suspicion, but I'm not going to call it, but I said, if a blowout do happen, the 49ers is getting their asses whooped. And I said, this could be the game. It's funny when I say that a quarterback could have a toughest game, it end up being a toughest game. I said that about another quarterback this year, and they had a rough game, Justin Herbert. I said that offense and Justin Herbert could have more turnovers this game than they probably done had any other game this year. I said because this Ravens defense is just it's tougher. It's going to be tougher for that offense to play against this defense. Mind you, if you've been listening to me for a while, I have not always felt this way about the Ravens defense, but I've seen how they've played this year and how they've matured and the difference that a Roquan Smith done made. Having him in that for an entire offseason and seeing how this defense done now grown. What Mike Macdonald is doing for the Baltimore Ravens defense, you have to go look at the tape to really understand it. It's a lot of wild shit he is now doing because he know he got two talents. And to be all honest with you, Marlon Humphreys could still be an all-pro level corner, but he know he got two of them dudes with Roquan and Kyle Hamilton. And he show it damn near every game with some of the plays and play calls he make. And some of the different type of ways he get to the quarterback and put pressure on quarterbacks, the way listen, Tua and them boys the play is almost done before they even hike the ball. Like he know exactly where he going. And the Ravens will give him opportunities because sometimes the Ravens will drop people back and send people on certain plays where Roquan or Pat Queen might not be in a position to get to a slant as quick as Tyreek gonna get to it. However, the Ravens do a great job at getting better throughout the game, which if Tua cannot evolve in the game, meaning if the game plan for Tua Tagovailoa does not evolve throughout the game, then I do not see a path in which this could be a high turnover game for Tua because he will be rushed off of his spot. His first option will not always be open. So and the Ravens don't just have athletes this year. They have far better athletes and more mature athletes than what they had in the past. Patrick Queen is going to run him off of his spot. One of those corners is going to go on a blitz to run him off of his spot. Kyle Hamilton is going to run him off of his spot. How Tua play when he under pressure. Jadeveon Clowney, Meta BK, they are going to run him off of his spot. Because I don't think Tua is great when he is, or great at all really, when he get ran off of his first option, that's where the game get tough. Now, they run a lot of screens and a lot of quick receiver screens and stuff. That's interesting because obviously I think they will have probably a drive or two where that will break loose. But because of Kyle Hamilton, I just feel like that's going to be a tough play to be able to rely on. Because if Kyle clog one side, Pat Queen's speed going to get to the other side. And because Patrick Queen has been a far more mature tackler this year, it's tough to see the way the Dolphins score and the way they play the edges because the San Francisco like to get loose on the edges. I told you, Christian McCaffrey in space on those edges is when he become dangerous. That's when Miami become dangerous. The Ravens can do a lot of things to offset you being able to do that, though. And whereas I like the Dolphins defense haven't played to me. And I know the Cowboys, statistically, you might say, well, that's one of the great offenses. The Cowboys shrink on the road and when they play against other great talent. The Ravens offense is just a machine, bro. One week they might have a down week, but they consistently is putting up 30 plus points a game, bro. This is not just a consistent offense. It's a tested offense. And, you know, the more and more I've been thinking about this, because obviously, you know, as a Raven fan, I chose the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, yada, yada, yada. But on my real picks, I don't know if I even made real picks this year. The more and more I'm starting to watch the Ravens defense, the more and more, if the Ravens offense, so obviously if Lamar have a bad game, the defense have a bad game, you know, all those things can cost you in the playoffs. If the Ravens receivers remain consistent, win on their routes, because that's what I'm starting to love about the Ravens receivers. They do drop the ball far too much for me still, but boy, they do win a lot of routes. They win their routes a lot of times. They got to stop dropping so many passes, but they do win their routes a lot. And Zay Flowers is starting to rise above the core. If they can keep this upward trajectory going with the Ravens offense, I do think the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. Now, if you watch the show, you know I had to have that I literally started thinking about that earlier today as I was sitting down going through the teams. I literally said to myself, I said, yeah, the Ravens this is the team that I think, without like saying they should do this, they should do that, they could do this. In my head right now, when I saw who could hoist that trophy at the end of the season, it should be Baltimore. Because I'm looking at everybody at their best as they can possibly be going into the playoffs. I'm taking Lamar over every single quarterback not named Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking the Ravens defense over every defense in the playoffs. And a big reason for the Ravens defense is because they have two guys who I know when the game come down to big stops, Roquan and Kyle Hamilton they will have an impact on those big stops. They have a game changer on the offense and game changers on the defense. And for me right now, looking at how Baltimore playing, the way they done been tested, off of just what I'm seeing, I think Baltimore to me would be my favorite to win the Super Bowl. Number 2 gonna sound crazy to y'all. But it's also the person who I think should be second in MVP right now, and that's Josh Allen and the Bills, bro. I don't think the Bills, I still told y'all a couple weeks ago, I really don't know if the Bills going to make the playoffs because this team is not as good as the media keep telling you that it is. I watch the Bills every fucking week, bro. They have lulls throughout every fucking game where they cannot score points. The only time they seem to not have that lull was against the Cowboys, even though they did kind of have it against the Cowboys. The Cowboys just fucking suck against great teams or great quarterbacks. But they definitely had that moment against the Cowboys, a moment like that throughout in that game. The media is dick riding Josh Allen because they don't want to be wrong about Lamar Jackson once again. So you know they don't want to give that man MVP again. But I don't know if the Buffalo gonna make the playoffs because while Buffalo have beaten, listen, how could I tell you that was a big win for them against the Dallas Cowboys when I don't think it's a big win? If we went and beat Dallas, I would not tell you, oh, that's a big win for the Ravens. No, motherfucker, I expect the Ravens to beat the Cowboys. I expect the Dolphins to beat the Cowboys. I expect Buffalo to beat the Cowboys. I expect Kansas City to beat the Cowboys. That's just my thoughts on it. I expect Cincinnati with Joe Burrow to beat the Cowboys. I don't look at the Cowboys the way I look at those teams. So, has Buffalo had the toughest, like, have they wins impressed me the way they done impressed the media? No. I'm being completely fair. I seen more things that concern me in these Buffalo games than make me happy. Am I happy that Josh Allen keep finding ways to bring his team above the rubble and win the games? Yes, but I expect that. I told you, Josh Allen is one of them dudes, so he gonna win games for you that you probably shouldn't have won. They probably shouldn't have won that Chargers game, but the Chargers offense was so ass, I knew that my boy was going to figure that out. So, I love Josh Allen, and I love Buffalo, but this is just not the Buffalo team that the media keep telling you that it is. I understand Josh Allen's stats. I understand all of that. If you watch the games, Buffalo can be beat by the great teams. That's my problem with Buffalo right now. I wouldn't pick Buffalo to beat the Ravens. I think Buffalo would have a high turnover game against Baltimore. They would have a tougher game against Baltimore than me. See, this is the thing. I told you last year that Buffalo was not better than Cincinnati. Why? because they rely on one guy. Cincinnati got 4 guys. Buffalo keep getting into this thing where they best game they living off of when they lost in beautiful fashion to Mahomes. You got to get past that because this offense clearly done hit its ceiling. Josh Allen done had to put on his Superman cape for the last couple weeks. That is not how you want to live. So I understand the media is now dick guzzling my boy Josh Allen, and cool. However, what people keep telling you on TV that the Bills are, it's not true. They are a good team. They do look like they do. Yes, they are winning games and they basically control their own destiny. And I'm going to pick them against the Bills because against the Dolphins because it just lined up to where they play one of the teams that they usually beat. However, a weaker schedule because they did not beat the tougher teams on the schedule. However you feel about the Cowboys, cool. They lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. They done lost some of their tougher games. They lost to Cincinnati this year. Like, as much as people love Josh Allen and Joe and the Bills, take a deeper look into what they done this season. If they get in, it's because of the Cincinnati getting hurt with Joe Burrow, some of the bad play from these teams in the in the AFC South, I think it is. I don't believe that the Buffalo Bills are as great. They definitely not. They missing hella pieces on defense. Stephon Diggs haven't even been as explosive as he usually is this last couple games. I don't know how you look at the Buffalo Bills right now and think to yourself, yeah, that's a team that I would take right now over the Baltimore Ravens. To be honest with you, if not for the fact that they play so great against Tua and the Bills, it'd be hard to take them over the Dolphins. That's what I meant. Because the Dolphins match up great against them. I just don't trust Tua and them boys against Josh Allen. Kansas City is not a clean win for them because they don't have weapons. They got the better weapon in that game. But Kansas City is just something about playing against Josh Allen and them boys when the game matters. So right now, I understand people liking the Bills because you think the back end of the AFC is weak. But can we please stop this thing where we think the Bills is like the best team in the AFC? Because if you watch these games, the Bills do not play like the best team in the AFC. But shout out to my boy, Josh Allen. Now, the Cleveland Browns just beat New York, the Jets, on Thursday Night Football. And it's interesting that we just got done talking about the media being honest about the film on the Buffalo Bills. Because if we was being honest about what we see from the Browns, then the conversation about is they really going to scare teams in the playoffs would not be being had right now. I love Joe Flacco more than the next person, bro. You know how I feel. I said that'll always be my quarterback. He won a Super Bowl with the team that I root for. I love Joe Flacco. I'm happy what he's doing. Joe Flacco done thrown eight interceptions in the last 4 games. Now, if that was Josh Allen, we'd be crucifying him. I love Joe Flacco more than anybody who probably listened to the show. My boy got 8 interceptions in 4 games. He throwing for a hell of yards, but they played the Texans with no C.J. Stroud. I'm not even going to go look at who they done played. It's not a great plethora of games. Now, what I will say about Cleveland is Kevin Stefanski to me is coach of the year. Now, if you watch the show, you know how much I done came to the defense of Kevin Stefanski. This is why I say we definitely I know what I be talking about, bro. I told you. People who was yelling, oh, they did Baker wrong. They didn't. No, they didn't. Kevin Stefanski is a great head coach. I'm so happy that the Cleveland Browns did not fire this man when people was trying to say, oh, you should fire him. I said it multiple times. Kevin Stefanski is the second best head coach in that division. With all due respect to Mike Tomlin. And furthermore, Kevin Stefanski is closer to a Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniels than y'all think. Because his system is what's getting them these wins right now. I told you before, Baker's best year was in this system. It was not Baker. It was the system and the weapons he had in the system. That's why Kevin Stefanski's weapons, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, they look great when they got a quarterback who can get them the ball on time. Why is that? Because Kevin Stefanski is great at drawing up an offense, bro. I done said that for 3 years. Kevin Stefanski was never the problem. but I got scared for him because the organization and the owner could have been getting real tired and wanting to be the old Cleveland Browns and try to make a quick move. But I kept saying, if you fire Kevin Stefanski, who is immediately going to be a better head coach in the sense of who can provide to you what Kevin Stefanski can provide to you? Because if Kevin Stefanski go to a team with a better roster, you're going to look like a bunch of dumbasses. Because Kevin Stefanski cannot do anything about Baker Mayfield regressing, not hitting the open dudes, because dudes was running open in that offense and Baker just wasn't hitting them. I don't care how good you think Baker playing right now. When Baker was with the Browns, he was not playing the way he playing now or good enough to warrant that team. He was underachieving. Point blank, period. Deshaun Watson is underperforming, underachieving. Yet we love to blame the head coach. Meanwhile, you got a head coach in Zach Taylor who does nothing for his team. They start the game slow. They are in too many games that they should be blowing teams out with the type of offensive weaponry they have. If Kevin Stefanski was the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, they probably would have won that Super Bowl against the Rams. That's how much faith I have in Kevin Stefanski's offense. If you watch these games, look at what his offense could do with. They had Baker underachieving and still made the playoffs and still was in contention damn near every year with just relying on Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt while still trying to find a quarterback. He done went through 4 quarterbacks this year. We done seen what different teams done when they lose their starting quarterbacks. Look at what Kevin Stefanski doing. To me, it is, and I understand how great the defense is. I understand how great that defense is. But that defense would not matter if the offense had not eventually started to pick it up. How do I know that? Because the Jets defense carried them as far as they could go. And when the offense absolutely had nothing to give them, they finally folded. That's exactly what would have happened to Cleveland if they did not figure it out offensively. And because Kevin Stefanski is a phenomenal head coach to me, yes, I'm starting to rub it in basically. Because I've been telling y'all, people, I've been telling the viewers, I've been screaming it at the time. Kevin Stefanski is not a bad head coach. He is not the problem in Cleveland. And I just been proven right on that because he going to win Coach of the Year again this year. If he don't, that'd be crazy. Now, I know John Harbaugh probably should be in the running for Coach of the Year. The reason he not going to win it the reason it's going to be hard for John Harbaugh to ever win a Coach of the Year is because he got Lamar Jackson. The same reason it's going to be hard for Andy Reid to win Coach of the Year. The same reason it's going to be hard for any coach who got Justin Herbert. Well, nope, at this point, you might be Coach of the Year if you can get Justin Herbert to the playoffs. But Zach Taylor ain't never winning no Coach of the Year, rightfully so. But it's going to be hard to win a Coach of the Year when you got a quarterback that people think is a generational quarterback because they carry such a heavy load. They'll be like, well, what would you be without him? You know what I'm saying? So when you see Kevin Stefanski doing what he doing with the different quarterbacks he done had to do it with an opportunity, with an opportunity to still finish first in the AFC, yeah, he definitely Coach of the Year. At least he would get my vote. Saturday, Detroit will head into Dallas to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Saturday night. Now, this is an interesting game to me. I'm going to watch this full game. This is an interesting game to me for the simple reason I don't think either one of these two teams is legit Super Bowl contenders, but I'm finna start looking at these boys from an NFC perspective. I don't know if I look at the Detroit Lions as a team that Dallas view as a team that's a great team, or, you know, Dallas probably don't view the Lions the way they view the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, the Dolphins, the Niners, the Eagles. I don't think they might view, I think it's a possibility they don't view the Lions like that. And if that's the case, the Lions about to get waxed because Dallas and them boys is due a big game. And I told you, I have no real faith in the Detroit Lions defense the way other people do. You notice how they started getting back on the road when they started playing weaker teams. I'm just saying, it ain't like they've been dusting great teams in that run of games they've been winning. They didn't beat the Chiefs in that run. They beat that bad Chiefs team in the beginning of the season, but they didn't dust no good teams. They didn't beat the Bills. They didn't beat the Ravens. So to me, like, once again, this is another team that people overhyping, acting as if they can't be beaten or as if they just playing so far and away above the competition. No, they just done had a good little road of games of weaker competition. To me, though, I do think Dallas is the better team because I think Dallas got the better defense. Because while Dallas might not show up offensively every single one of these games, and while the defense essentially you played good the whole game and you couldn't get the last stop you needed at the end of the game to get the win. At the end of the day, in these big games with the Dolphins, Miami, bro, the quarterback got to make plays throughout that game. That's why you supposed to be a special player. My logic cannot always be the defining thing as far as like the defense got to make key plays. I told you the playoffs is different. In that moment, yes, it's a big team type of thing. But in the season, bro, at some point in time, I can't, and I done said this most, I think I done said this before. My logic should not always be right if you're a great quarterback. You should be able to outplay a defense who can't get that one stop sometimes. You should be able, plus when you miss so many different plays throughout a game, because if you watch that game, I'm not telling you Dak played a bad game, but it's certain plays, if made by Dak himself, they win that game. And Tua, and that's how I know this is why I really don't got no faith in these two teams, bro, because, bro, Tua, he didn't even make the key plays in that game, in my opinion. Like, when you got two quarterbacks, bro, and Dak, and that's the thing, Dak did eventually make the last play, like the touchdown play that you would think would walk it off. But when I knew they was only down up 2, I was like, man, they still losing this game. The Dolphins offense can get to in field goal range, bro. And that's exactly what happened. So I have no faith in Dallas, basically. But I do believe their defense, while, like I said, they might not have made that last play, I have more faith that they'll make the plays in this game against Jared Goff. And ultimately, I don't look at Jared Goff as better than Tua, Dak, Purdy. None of them dudes. I've been consistent on my Jared Goff take, bro. He got a ceiling. When you tell him to play off schedule, that's when he he started doing a whole bunch of bullshit. I think Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield is the same player, and they both showing you they can go on stretches where they look good. For Baker, it took him a little bit longer to show you that he could do that. But listen, I actually expect Jared Goff to have probably 3 turnovers in this game. I think Dallas going to actually dominate. Is this in Dallas? Oh, yeah, Dallas is going to win this game. I got Dallas dominating this game, as a matter of fact. I don't like calling blowouts, but I could see Dallas waxing Detroit, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. I could see Dallas waxing that ass in Dallas. Tennessee is in Houston. This is a big game for Houston. I think C.J. Stroud is playing. If he playing, meaning he healthy, he done passed concussion protocol, I'm going with the Texans. New Orleans is in Tampa Bay. I'm going Tampa Bay. Obviously, I've been telling you that how the Tampa Bay can win this division, yada, yada, yada. Shout out to Mike Evans, first ballot Hall of Famer. Arizona is in Philly. I got Philly winning this game. I think Arizona need to stop winning games. They should be trying. I'm glad they beat Pittsburgh, but Arizona should be trying to lose games. They got their own fucking draft pick. Draft some help for your boy Kyler. San Francisco is in Washington. I'm taking San Fran. The Rams are in New York, taking on the Giants. I'm taking the Rams. Tyrod Taylor is starting in that game. Also, they done benched Danny DeVito, sorry ass. I was wondering how long that Mamma Mia, it's a Mia Mario. I was wondering how long that shit was gonna last, but yeah, it's over for the kid. We already talked about Miami, Baltimore, Vegas, Indy. Now this is an interesting one because Indy can't make the playoffs. They can only fuck shit up for Indy, and Indy need to win this game. I'm rocking with my boy Max Crosby. Fuck, nah. I think Indy gonna win this game. Indy can score better than well, they just held the Chiefs down, so I can't say that they gonna. Man, they done been playing real good these last 3 weeks. And Lord knows I really don't want to put my faith. I'm willing to be wrong about this one. I'm willing to have Garner Minshew prove me wrong. I'm taking Vegas. Fuck it. New England, Buffalo. Now, I do think this will be a closer game than people think. I actually think Buffalo's offense, because Buffalo's offense is not what people think, is just like, I do think the Patriots, I don't think the Patriots win this game, but I do think the Patriots keep this game close, because the Patriots defense done played pretty good down the stretch of the season, and it pretty much played good the majority of the season. But because how Buffalo's offense seems to stall out in different moments in the game where they can't figure out how to score points and whatnot. I mean, you saw it against the Chargers. They struggled basically the whole first half of the game. I think it will be a close game, but I'm definitely taking Buffalo because Buffalo know they need to win out. Atlanta, Chicago. I'll take Atlanta because this game is more important for them than it is Chicago, even though I'm not even sure if Atlanta is mathematically eliminated out of the playoffs yet. I think they are, but who knows? Carolina, Jacksonville. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is playing in this game or not, but Jacksonville need this win. They got it, but I don't trust Jacksonville without Trevor Lawrence. Hell, I don't trust them with Trevor Lawrence right now, but I don't trust Carolina even more. But Carolina figured out how to put up 30 points last week. I don't know if they do that going to Indy, so I'm gonna take Indy. I'm gonna take Jacksonville, even though that is not that far to get from Charlotte to Jacksonville, Florida. That's probably like what, 4-5 hours, if that. If they fly in there, it's probably not even that long. I'm thinking about driving there. I'll take Jacksonville for the simple reason why in God's name am I taking a team that's got 2 wins on the season. Pittsburgh, Seattle. I'm taking Seattle. I think y'all finna find out why Mason Rudolph was riding that pine. Hey, Pittsburgh is hilarious. They got y'all hopes up, boy. Y'all remember the first week they didn't have Matt Canada and they had a good game, and then the following week they played like shit. So y'all was like, oh, never mind, we do suck. Now Mason Rudolph played good, so everybody's hopes is high. So when eventually he play like shit later on in this game, people gonna be like, oh, never mind, we do fucking suck. So I'm taking Seattle to win this game, even though I don't think Seattle was that great either. Cincinnati, Kansas City. I'm gonna take Kansas City, even though there will be moments in this game where it looked like, damn, is Kansas City gonna lose to Cincinnati? But that's all gonna be determined if which Jake Browning is going to show up. If the Jake Browning show up that like to throw interceptions and bad throws and be off on the timing and shit, if that's the one to show up, yeah, it's a dub for him. But if they have average Jake Browning show up and the weapons is just on one, yeah, Cincinnati will have an opportunity to win it. But I do think now Kansas City should be worried about this game because it is a route for them to lose this game. Because of how bad they offense, well, I'm pretty sure they know that after losing to the Raiders last week. Because of how bad their offense is, there is a chance that the best version of Cincinnati's team show up on Sunday. And the best version of what this Cincinnati team can be is at least 30 plus points. So if Kansas City is not up for the challenge, there is a reality that they lose this game. Now, I'm taking Kansas City, but there is 100% a reality in which they lose this game. The Chargers, they are at home against the Denver Broncos. And let's get into it. Well, actually, let me go ahead and pick that last game. And Green Bay, Minnesota, I'm taking Green Bay. I'm taking Denver in this game. Well, actually, I'm gonna take the Chargers. Fuck it. I'm only taking the Chargers though, cause fuck Sean Payton and the Broncos, bro. So Russell Wilson was told however many weeks ago it was that if he didn't take that injury guarantee out of his contract, that he would be benched for the remainder of the season, for the last 2 weeks of the season. And that is indeed what has happened in Denver. I once again find it very funny how it's so easy for fans to disrespect the player because they make millions of dollars, but to side with organizations and owners who make billions of dollars when they treat players like shit. You talk about contracts, living up to the contract, being loyal to the contract. So what you saying now that the teams can do whatever the fuck they want to void contracts, to not live up to the contracts, to hold players out of money. I don't understand it. Now, I'm going to tell you what's interesting. You got a good portion of the media who telling you Russell Wilson ain't playing good enough. He should be benched. Those same people is telling you Lamar Jackson shouldn't win MVP because of stats. Russell Wilson's stats look good, just as good as any other quarterback stats out there. So they don't think stats matter when they arguing against something, but stats do matter when they arguing for certain things. That's interesting. Like I said, stats aren't shit. But Russell Wilson, if you feel like he should be benched, that's not my prerogative. To think he should be benched because he won't take a certain guarantee out of his contract is foolishness. I believe that Sean Payton treated this man with the utmost disrespect from the moment he took over the Denver Broncos. I think Sean Payton knew from the moment he took over Russell Wilson wasn't going to be his long-term quarterback. Sean Payton, I done said this a multitude of times on the channel. I don't understand the allure. Sean Payton won that Super Bowl, it felt like a century ago. What has Sean Payton done over the last couple years of his coaching career that should still have him as one of the best coaches in the NFL? People go at Mike Tomlin because of how long ago he won his Super Bowls. Mike Tomlin done been a better head coach, had a better team, and done more with what he done had over the last couple years of his coaching career than Sean Payton. Sean Payton, I was told he was going to come into the season this year and take over the Broncos, changing with his offense. His offense is archaic. His offense was made to not lose games, not to go out there and win games. However, Russell Wilson done found to get stats in this offense is beyond me, because his offense was legitimately set up for Drew Brees to be dinking and dunking left and right. That's what his offense is. Somehow he still get labeled an offensive guru. I don't get it. Sean Payton done disrespected Russell Wilson at every turn. He done talked crazy to him. This why, bro, Russell better than me, because you're not finna be in my face yelling at me like that on the sideline. And especially now I know why you got this type of energy. How do he feel like it's cool for him to disrespect his quarterback like that on national TV? Y'all bitch and moan when players disrespect, or when y'all feel like they being disrespectful on the sideline. Where that same energy for Sean Payton, hoe ass. And like I said, bro, all the underachieving he done over the last couple years of his career, and nobody called him out for it, it's crazy to me. I was told, like I said, he was coming in here to save the Broncos, to just save Russell Wilson. He didn't do none of that. Oh, so now it's not on him. Now it's on all the players. It ain't on Sean Payton. That's crazy to me, because when they were winning again, it was Sean Payton. Like, Sean Payton seemed to be one of them head coaches that never really get the criticism he done earned. We just keep living off, not we. They just keep living off of that Super Bowl he went. And it ain't even like he done been the head coach of 2, 3, 4, 5 Super Bowl teams. Hell, it ain't like he done been the coach of a team that got to the Super Bowl more than fucking once. The way they talk about Sean Payton, boy, you think his resume was close to the they don't talk about John Harbaugh the way they done talked about Sean Payton, and both of them boys got one Super Bowl, and Sean Payton lost in the Super Bowl to, Sean Payton won his Super Bowl far before John Harbaugh won his Super Bowl. I understand Sean Payton beat Peyton Manning in that Super Bowl, but it ain't like he had Joe Flacco at the helm. Motherfucker had an all-time Saints team and had Drew Brees in his prime in that game. And that was years, decades ago. So I'm not understanding how we tell players to update their resumes. But Sean Payton ain't had to, because Sean Payton had a long stretch of Saints coaching where he was terrible, where that team wasn't good. And then once they started getting to the playoffs again, coincidentally, they started having top tier talent. They started underachieving. They didn't sniff a Super Bowl. I don't never see people go crazy on him. I never saw Bill Cowher get on TV and say that he should lose his job, that he underachieving with the talent he got. But I saw them calling out Mike Tomlin. I'm just saying, I don't understand the Sean Payton allure. I don't. But if he your cup of tea, have at it. I don't understand why players and fans, I don't understand why fans, not players, allow people like Sean Payton and owners and other coaches to get away with disrespecting players. but always have something to say when they feel like players being disrespectful. I'll never understand that. I'll never understand it. But, you know, I guess it is what it is. But if you're a Dolphins fan, I hope you don't hate me too much. But with that being said, I appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. Tell somebody you fuck with him. Tell somebody you love him. My sister made spaghetti, bro. This shit hitting on every angle, my guy. Every motherfucking angle. Tell somebody you fuck with him. Tell somebody you love him. You could be anything in the world. Choose to be kind to somebody today. I appreciate you for joining me. I really do, man. I love y'all. Like, subscribe, share. Saint out.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, you know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy. Scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber. You out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.